For my marketing vlog, I'm going to be covering three concepts which I believe are actually really compatible together, beginning with Rogers' theory of the diffusion of innovation, moving on to the product lifecycle and the new development cycle, so I'll begin immediately. Rogers' theory of the diffusion of innovation was pioneered by E.M. Rogers in 1962. Rogers outlines how diffusion is a special type of communication about new ideas, and in the marketing context applies to people forming ideas about innovative products. The theory posits that innovation will move through 5 stages of adopter groups, from the early adopters to the laggards, something that Rogers' graph visualizes here. Rogers' theory is useful for a variety of reasons. Firstly, it helps marketers understand and plan for the different consumer groups that their new product will pass through. As I will touch upon later, new product development, particularly radical innovative products, such as new technologies, need as much planning and management as possible to ensure their success. Secondly, this theory is applicable to all products and services. Indeed, Rogers' research showed how farmers, doctors, and even teachers could be broken up into these adopter categories when purchasing new products and services. Acknowledging this allows us to segment and target our consumers for our innovative product to get through this process as quickly as possible. Knowing that early adopters tend to be young, wealthy, and well-educated, we can tailor our marketing mix to digital platforms such as Instagram and shape our core messaging to target this group. By harnessing the lessons of the theory, we can ultimately increase our sales and maximize our product's chance of success. Rogers' theory, however, has some major flaws. As he himself admitted, there is only tentative empirical evidence that the stages in the model exist. In his own research, he only interviewed 148 farmers. Furthermore, how does a marketer know when the adopter group has changed? There is no precise number of sales or revenue to tell them. It is a subjective decision, and the marketer could change the marketing mix prematurely and damage the sales of a product or a service. This is complicated by the fact that the graph is a generalization. The marketer also doesn't have full control over their innovation. The macro environment has a huge impact on the diffusion of innovation. More compatible inventions, such as new versions of games consoles, may move through the stages faster, as they are not asking for a radical change in our behaviour or actions, unlike first electric cars. Geographical area plays a role in that as well. The different pest factors can limit uptake and increase risk. For instance, does your local area have any electric car refill stations? This can increase the risk of a purchase. I'm going to look at the example here of whey protein and the whey protein boom. The market for whey protein is a great example of Rogers' theory of the diffusion of innovation. Whey protein products are worth £8 billion a year. Indeed, the product is everywhere. But when whey was originally pitched as a supplement for bodybuilders in the 1950s, well, it was just for that. But whey protein is no longer such a niche product. Everyone you meet at the gym has some. Digital influencers across YouTube and Instagram are personally sponsored by specific brands, as we can see in some of the images I've provided. Personal recommendations are everywhere. Whey protein is no longer just about muscles, it's instead a gateway to a different lifestyle. Go on major protein sellers like MyProtein and you can see tabs about weight loss and healthy diet, alongside blogs with recipes for low-calorie protein-rich meals and drinks. Whey products are in an early majority stage, with the key being reassurance and social pressure. Opinion leaders at the gym and amongst friends are crucial. I personally was won over to whey protein by a friend and someone at my local gym, and what I was looking for was the personal testimony and reassurance. But the future of whey products diffusion graph could take any shape. More and more information is emerging that whey is unnecessary and potentially bad for your health. And we have to question whether whey protein products have any appeal to anyone in the laggard group who tend to be poorer and older, when they are very unlikely to need this kind of protein. Ultimately, this example shows the usefulness of Rogers' theory, as it helps companies shift their core messages to target new consumers and give them evidence for this. In this case, marketing whey products as part of a healthy lifestyle to target these late majority and laggard groups who might not be interested in the muscle gains. Now we're going to move on to the product life cycle. The product life cycle is a useful concept to use in tandem with the Rogers' theory and on its own. However, whereas the latter is about the consumer, the former is about the product or service. The PLC posits that a product has a life, and thus its marketing and support needs will vary. The PLC has 4 stages. At each stage, the way a product or services must be marketed will change. For example, the growth stage is where the product profits will begin to emerge as word spreads about the product. This is a key time to build brand preference and build as big a consumer base as possible. Thus, marketing efforts are costly and intensive. During the decline stage, however, marketing efforts will be minimal. The PLC is a useful concept as it allows marketers to plan and predict what support and product or service needs. For instance, in the maturity stage where sales plateau, marketers can use this as a sign to redesign their product, to look for new uses or new users, and thus return their product to growth. At each stage, there are different challenges. The concept gives marketers evidence as to why the marketing support they're providing is the correct amount. The concept also works nicely with the theory of diffusion. For instance, in the maturity stage, it may be worth repositioning products in the marketing mix and core messaging to target the late majority stage to try and maximise profits. The PLC obviously has some drawbacks. As before, the marketer has to use their own judgment as to when a product moves between each stage. How can we be sure a product is truly in decline? It could be easier for a marketer to abandon a product that is not yet at the end of its life. What if a product is seasonal like barbecues? Surely the PLC will be unlike the generalised graph. The truth is that the macro environment and complex pest factors in the market will play a huge role in the PLC. Even if the marketer correctly reads the product and understands the stages of the PLC, other factors are out of their control. As Brassington and Pettit put it, it is a myth that products have a predetermined lifespan. Looking at an example here, Diet Coke premiered in 1982. It is a great example of the successful use of the PLC. It targeted new users and had new uses, and successfully increased the lifespan of Coca-Cola by acknowledging people's concern about their health. Coke knew that the diet drink market was growing 3 times faster in the 1980s than the traditional soda market. It returned the Coke product to growth whilst removing the second most expensive part of manufacture, the sugar. The marketers at Coca-Cola understood their segment. They ensured it was marketed as a diet drink, but crucially that it was still tasty, as you can see on the tagline on the original posters. Examples like Diet Coke prove the usefulness of the PLC. As PLCs get faster and faster due to technology, I still believe it is a useful concept for the marketer. Accepting that the PLC is a guide about what could happen, not what will happen, a marketer can make better informed judgments about the support they should give to their product. Let's look at now the new product development cycle. The new product development cycle is a concept that bringing new products to market should be a controlled and managed process. There are several models, but they all focus on making product development a scientific endeavour. New product development needs this systematic control and planning due to the vast sums of money invested into it, and the huge risk of failure attached, with only 2% of new products being successful. If they are successful, however, new products, particularly innovative ones like the original Windows, can be massively lucrative. All NDP cycles go through several stages. In this example, from idea generation, the most radical stage, through to the product launch where the risks and costs peak. The cycle aims to pin down some good ideas before conducting business analysis and market tests to determine the feasibility of these ideas. The NDP cycle, as shown here, is useful as it enhances the chances of new product success. The cycle's scientific and systematic approach to confirming the feasibility of ideas ensures that possibly costly risks are avoided. For instance, a radical idea that there was no market for. The marketer can use the NDP in cooperation with the theory of diffusion of innovation and the PLC. When creating a radical product, the concept testing staging of the NDP can help the marketer accurately target segments with the correct marketing mix by giving them an idea of the kind of early adopters that will be interested in the product. Furthermore, if a new product is going to be successful, it must be managed through its life cycle. The PLC must form part of the business analysis stage, where questions like what the market size is and what the product's life cycle will look like against competitors must be asked. Yet the marketer must accept a product may still fail anyway. The NDP can easily be mismanaged. Business analysis may be bungled, and subjective judgments about what truly is a good idea may miss the appeal of the mass market. Again, macro factors will hugely influence the success of a new product. As NDP cycles often take years, the product you initially make may be out of date by the time it's finally launched. Furthermore, not all new products are made equal. Innovative products like the first Tesla are much more risky and capital intensive. A small failure could have immediately tarnished a Tesla brand, yet replacement products like Diet Coke are far more likely to succeed, benefiting from an already strong brand recognition. The NDP cycle simply does not account for this drastic variance in product risk. Crystal Pepsi launched in 1993. This was a radical product. Pepsi were attempting to capture more of the market with an untested clear cola. Using their own NDP cycle, Crystal Pepsi was successfully tested in Denver and Sacramento. It was initially hugely successful. For the first year, it greatly increased Pepsi's profits, yet today it's known as a failure. So what went wrong? Crystal Pepsi ultimately failed due to practices beyond its control, particularly competition from Coke. It's true that, ironically, Crystal Pepsi didn't have a clear marketing strategy. The drink's creator admitted it was the worst idea he had ever executed. Customers were confused about how it was different from the normal Pepsi. Indeed, it failed partly in the product development stage with its confusing attributes. Yet this did not impact sales. Enter Coca-Cola. Sergio Zyman, then Chief Marketing Officer for Coca-Cola, described what he called a suicidal mission that Coke embarked on at the time. Taking advantage of Pepsi's unclear marketing, Coca-Cola launched a clear variant of their diet drink, Tab, suggesting that Crystal Pepsi was a rival to this diet drink. Extraordinarily, Coca-Cola repositioned their competitor for them, fully exploiting Pepsi's lack of clarity. 5 months after Tab Clear's launch, and both brands had been pulled from the shelves. This story goes to show how the inherent weaknesses of the MVP cycle, that the macro environment may affect your new product in ways you could never consider. Yet, it also goes to show that with clearer marketing considered in the product development stage, the product could have been saved. The NDP cycle is ultimately a crucial tool for the marketer, despite these weaknesses, and for the exact reasons that it allows the marketer to plan and best prepare their product. Finally, let's touch on the concepts and practice at LCC. I'm currently working in 2 workplaces, in waste strategy and volunteer coordination, so my examples will touch on both. Looking at Rogers' theory, a key aim in waste strategy is to increase the recycling rate of the city. Different wards have taken up recycling at different rates, and through the application of Rogers' theory, I believe we can pursue a target segment with our digital marketing that would increase our recycling rate. In this scenario, wards such as Headingley, that have the poorest recycling rates, would be treated as the laggards of Rogers' theory. Already, comms teams within waste are looking at promoting opinion leaders called influencers to encourage these laggard groups. One unique aspect of applying this concept to recycling is that the innovator adopter group are actually the inverse. They're older, not younger. This group has more time on their hands and have been sorting waste for much longer than younger people. Headingley has such a poor recycling rate due to the larger than average student population who may not have recycled their own waste before. But the marketer must accept that Rogers' theory is a generalization and that these kind of differences do appear in different innovations. Recycling as an innovation proves an outlier in many other ways. As recycling rates go up, council recycling profits will likely sink due to the market forces and macro environment. One element to remember, however, is Rogers' argument that more compatible innovations will diffuse faster. This suggests that the waste strategy of not segregating recyclables into their different materials would actually speed up recycling uptake, as it would not require as much time and consideration, as you would literally only need to put all of your recyclables into one bin. The product life cycle could have similarly useful implications for the volunteer Are You OK service, which conducts welfare checks on Leeds residents. The service was recently launched in the last few months and as such is currently in the early growth stage. The introduction stage could be identified with a very low take-up, as messaging about the service was rolled out across the council and city. As we can identify that the service is in the growth stage, the PLC concept allows us to consider what kind of marketing response we should pursue. This is a crucial time to build the brand. Results of our calls will trickle down through communities and the service must be seen as useful. Already our current experiences are leading senior management to alter our strategies and plan for modifications for future training. It is possible, however, that the service will enter maturity stage within mere months. Much of our work is providing company to the isolated and arranging food and medicine deliveries, much of which was necessitated by COVID-19. It is possible then that the helpline will act very much like a fad, with no maturity stage at all and a speedy decline. But with an expansion of our duties on the horizon, it is possible that the product lifecycle will never end because the service will always have demand. Finally, the new product development cycle has a clear implication for our rollout of polystyrene collection and treatment service. The service is already in the new product development cycle, having reached a test market stage with bins at 2 of our household waste sites. This is a radical service for Leeds, but an imitative service as we have other local authorities to copy from. This service is targeting a new customer need as citizens feel more climate conscious and want to recycle more. The NDP cycle has allowed a systematic management of this service rollout, particularly crucial now the council has a budget shortfall of over £100 million. Business analysis was undertaken and a local treatment facility was found, and it was determined that the council could make a small profit. Even if it is successful, however, the macro factors of the budget shortfall may doom the new service. Proper use of the MPD cycle will allow me to better prepare the service and maximising success, and I'll be able to call on Gosney and Richardson's model when evidencing the utility of the business and making a business case for this service to stay on. And that is the end of the vlog. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.